Good evening, everyone. Peace and blessings to you. My name is Reverend Leah Alvarado. I'm with New Thought Northern Colorado Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome to the season for nonviolence. Every day we come together for a total of 64 days to practice a new principle of peace and nonviolence based on the work of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. So glad that you're with me today. Today is day 57, and our topic is being an instrument of peace. Reverend Simon Shadowlight from Mile High said this: I affirm my commitment to be an instrument of peace, to remain steadfast as a voice of peace and forgiveness. I remember the truth of who we are and of the good we are capable of. I ensure the light in my heart burns brightly. I add my light and my voice to the declaration that ultimately love wins. I want to read a beautiful passage from Ernest Holmes. And then we're going to close today in a different way than we usually do. I'm going to close with a prayer for peace. So Ernest Holmes said this: peace comes from the absence of fear, from a consciousness of trust, from a deep underlying faith in the absolute goodness and mercy, the final integrity of the universe in which we live, and of every cause to which we give our thought, our time, and our attention. If we would have peace outwardly, we must first realize peace inwardly. Those of us who believe in peace should work toward this end. Let us never forget that the very impulse of that movement is in the silent contemplation, the prayerful meditation, the sincere expectancy in our own minds. Are we ready for peace? When the world is ready for peace, it will have peace. When the individual is ready for peace, his or her thought will be so composed that they will find themselves living in peace, even though to the world they appear in the midst of chaos and confusion. Let us contemplate this thought. I live in peace with God as a partner. I live in peace with the great Creator, the maker and sustainer of all, the divine source in which my life and in which all life is rooted. Divinity, my divinity, is at peace with God. As we contemplate these words and meditate upon their meaning with prayerful thoughtfulness, there wells up from within us a new vision, a vision which has power to offset hate, to destroy discord, to still anguish, to obliterate fear. There wells up from within us a trust, a consciousness that we are surrounded by an infinite goodness, and that thought of peace spreads itself beyond the confines of our own consciousness and helps in healing a sick world of the belief that it must fight. In the silence of our own thoughts, let us heal ourselves of fear, of doubt, of uncertainty. Let our lives be peaceful. Let our lives be whole. So I have only one question for us today to reflect on. And that question is this: what are you willing to do to be a greater instrument of peace within your family, your community, and the world? And so I only included one question today because it just felt appropriate, given the topic, to just reflect on for yourself, what are you willing to do to be a greater instrument of peace? Now, it may look differently as you think about your family versus the community versus the world. But I would love to have you put any comments in the chat related to this, in terms of what are you willing to do to be a greater instrument of peace? What actions are you willing to take? What things are you willing to change within yourself, within your life, in order to be that instrument of peace? And some of you may be asking, how do I even become an instrument of peace? How do I do that? It begins with an intention, perhaps prayer, going within ourselves and asking that deeper question. How do I become an instrument of peace? And as I've said through many of these, sessions over the last 57 days, it always starts with us. It always starts with ourselves and choosing to embody or cultivate that particular principle, energy, essence, whatever it may be. And as we do that for ourselves, it then impacts all. Thank you, Dennis. Let go and let God. Yes. And Janet Ray, listen more, talk less. Yes, we could all do more of that, can't we? Understanding and compassion. Yeah, thank you, Dennis. And some of these, as we say them, as we reflect on them, they appear easy to do. But in the moment when we are confronted by something really horrific, when we have witnessed something tragic, like what took place earlier this week, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? That's where the rubber meets the road, when we witness something like that. And can we have compassion and understanding? We can certainly have that for the victims. But as I've said before, can we have that for the perpetrators? Yeah, I'm taking a deep breath. Yeah, just the thought of that is hard. It's hard to, not as easy, I should say. I don't want to affirm that it's hard, but it's not as easy, particularly when the wound is so fresh. But if we're going to commit to being a greater instrument of peace in the world, within our families, within our communities, within the world, if we're going to commit to that, then it's about paying attention to our energy. It's paying attention to our thoughts. It's paying attention to our actions. Every interaction, every single thing that happens in the world, can we be that instrument of peace and share our light and our love, share that energy with every being, no matter who they are, no matter what crimes they've committed. Yeah. Let's be that instrument. Let's choose to be that instrument of peace for all. So I want to close with a prayer that all of us have heard before, and it's been attributed to Saint Francis of Assisi, but actually the prayer, they can't find any record of this in any of his writings, and they don't really know who wrote this. But it has been attributed to him, and I know that you know this prayer. And so I'm gonna put this in the chat so that we can all do this together. I was just gonna read it, but I think even though you all likely know this and have heard this, it's such a profound and beautiful prayer, particularly right now. I'm just reading more of the comments. Yeah. Own my own experience, let go of judgment. God lives in each of us equally. Yes. Yes, indeed. So let's all say this beautiful prayer of peace together. And as we say these words, let's really embody peace. Let's be that instrument of peace, and imagine as we're saying these words that energy is going out and it is surrounding every single person on this planet, every incident where there has been hate and violence, every person who has lost their lives due to violence, their families. Let's surround every single person who has been impacted by hate and violence in this country. Let's surround those who are having thoughts of wanting to commit violence towards another human being. Let's surround them. Let's be that instrument of peace. And so let's say this together. And if you'd rather just let me say it and close your eyes and take it in, feel free to do that as well. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in the giving that we receive, and it's in the pardoning that we are pardoned, and it's in the dying that we are born to eternal life. So let's just take a deep breath, breathing in the beautiful frequency and vibration of these powerful words, this beautiful prayer. And just feeling into your heart an opening within the center of your chest as you declare to yourself right now that you are an instrument of peace. Feel the power of that. Feel the magnificence of that. Feel the beauty of that. Let's all commit right here, right now, to be an instrument of peace. To be an instrument of understanding, to be an instrument of compassion, to be an instrument of love for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, and for the world. And so let's move into a few moments of silence as we contemplate this, as we take it in even deeper. And so gently coming back, let's just take another deep breath. Feeling the energy of peace move through our being, expanding our heart and sharing that beautiful energy with the world. Thank you so much for being with me this evening. I wish you a blessed evening filled with peace, peace in your heart. Tomorrow is day 58, and we'll be talking about nonviolent communication. Hope to have you join me again tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Namaste. Good night, everyone.